Ladies and gentlemen, fellow viewers, I am Theodore Ngumba saying welcome to another edition of Special Guest on Cry Out Radio TV. Before we proceed, we call upon our fans who enjoy our work and objectives to download our app from the App Store or Play Store. Subscribe to our Cry Out Radio TV YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope to better enjoy our programming. And don't forget to like and share with friends and family. Do not forget to share the link to this live show. We seize this opportunity to remind our viewers that Cry Out TV has only one agenda, which is being the voice of the voiceless. Denis Lihman, a warm welcome to today's show.
Thank you, Brother Theodore Ngumba. Really happy with what you do on your show. And although at times it comes out a little bit controversial, but I think the truth has no specific angle. And I'm happy to be here with you today.
As is our tradition on special guests, can you briefly tell our audience who exactly is Denis Lihman?
I think there is very little about me which is known. I'm a fellow Ambazonian like all of us. Grew up mainly in the Northwest region. I live in the US for a while now. And I was very active with the soldiers on the ground, mostly in the coordination and specifically with AMF, like one of their main advisors. It happens that most of the soldiers fell to their demise under my watch, from the death of General Ivo to Biebie and General Ngoy of Sokadev. And also most of these generals who disappeared were under my watch. So I'm happy for this opportunity you've given me to actually present to the Ambazonian population what actually happened on ground zero within that short period that we lost over 4 of the main generals, and many of them just went incognito, from Nambere to Jimira and the others.
Okay. My first question to you is as follows. How would you describe the state of the restoration forces right now? You are one of the few who raised the issue of armament and preparedness of these forces. Your thoughts on this issue?
Well, Brother Theodore and the general Ambazonian population at large, the first thing I want us to understand is we don't have fighters on the ground. We have fellow patriots who saw the need and stepped in. None of them had prepared for a war or had any military training. And the few who had the military training were not even commissioned officers who had a general vision of what they were doing. So when I came into the AMF to help the boys organize themselves, I was devastated by what I saw. The first thing is the state of the resources we had was so limited, it was kind of suicidal. The boys perform miracle. I wouldn't lie to you. How they have gotten to this stage that they are is a miracle. I can candidly say amongst all the groups on the ground, we had barely 10% of them armed with real weapons. Most of them were armed with machetes and Dane guns. I remember at one time I was so desperate, I asked all of them to just go into hiding or something, because I would not allow my own sibling fight in the conditions that most of the boys on the ground were fighting. And disheartening as it was, most of the boys decided to stand their grounds, and almost 80% of the weapons they have on the ground, surprisingly, they actually took them from the B with their bare hands. And that is one of the reasons I had a lot of problems, because I indicted the diaspora based on this situation. What were they doing? Because a lot of money was collected, nothing went on ground zero. So when I came into AMF, I discovered a situation of disarray. Boys were not armed. They would share granite as if they were sharing candy. That's how little they had. And they were barely going on a suicide mission.
Okay. What exactly is the AMF, and without divulging any classified information, what has the AMF achieved and what are their long-term goals? Furthermore, the AMF is accused of playing a role in Ivor Mba's death. Fact or fiction?
I would say both. I think the first step of responsibility is to be responsible for what you do as a person before you point fingers at others. I think Ivor's death honestly generated from the AMF, and I will not pretend about it. I was there when it all happened, and it was a sad situation. But to say AMF was the only actor would be a disservice to to General Ivor's memory, because the ADF knew well what they did to Ivor. Same with the IG. So I will start by what the AMF did. And before I go about what AMF did, I would like to give a brief rundown on the AMF. So what happened was, at the moment in time, we had a lot of kidnapping on Ground Zero. We had a lot of infighting amongst groups. So a couple of us, principally me, Foncha, and Celestine, because we had this background. I was a Socadef ADF person. So Foncha was an IG person at the time with Celestine. So we were like, you know what? Why can't we just bring the boys together?
Cho Celestine?
Yes, of IG.
Okay.
So we were
That's
like, why can't we?
Likeri Cho. He's in Houston. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, that's the person. So we were like, why can't we bring sanity to this revolution by creating a syndicate where we could bring all the boys together and have them talk to the Amazonian people in one voice and ask us to fund them. I thought it was a very noble cause, so I jumped into it with all of my energy. The misconception about the AMF is that people thought it was a group. AMF has never been a group. It was just a trade union of all the soldiers on the ground who came together and were like, you know what, I'm not going to fight against my brother. Our enemy is La République. But it went down really south from there because our principal enemy was no longer La République. It became the group leaders. From the ADF to IG, I was receiving threatening calls from John Egiawan. He openly told me, you know what, you guys have to scrap this thing because we are the government. Nobody can operate on the ground.
You mean John Egiawan called you and threatened you?
Yeah, I have. If he authorizes it, I'm going to send in all the messages.
It's not about him authorizing. It's for the people to know, because these are the reasons why the revolution is the way it is today. So you don't need no approval from him, except you mean you are lying to the people.
I think I don't have any incentive to lie. If John Egiawan is here, he can testify.
Well, because unfortunately, John Egiawan is not here. I have his number. He saw what we had out there. Benedict Kwa also saw it. Go ahead. Let the people know.
Okay, so let me go slowly on this one because I think it's very important for the Amazonian people to know what is going on with their revolution. Okay, what is going on is we have a set of people in the diaspora who are using the boys on the ground as political pawns. What they have done is they have successfully put these boys under a gauge that these boys can't even do anything because it is very dangerous what is going on. One thing you have to remember is when you become an amber fighter, you become very vulnerable to blackmail, extortion, blackmailing, and everything. Because one, you have to leave your family because if La République comes in, they're going to kill you and your family. If they don't see you, they're going to kill the people you love. And the people that you love cannot be around you anymore because they are scared of their own survivor. So your only source of subsistence or sustenance is your group. And now you become vulnerable to the group leaders. If you go out of the line, they're going to retribute in a very difficult way, and you cannot even survive by yourself. The public doesn't want you, your group doesn't want you, so you become an outcast. And that's what happened to Ivor. Now, ADF is not the only group doing this. Socadef is not the only group doing this. All the groups on the ground. So what they have done is they have this undue influence on the boys. So you guys will be surprised when somebody just sits in the diaspora and asks an Amber fighter, go and attack A, go and make a video for B. They don't do it because they want it. It's because they are placed in a situation where if they don't listen to the person from the diaspora, they are not going to get a penny. If they go back to the population is going to snitch on them and get them killed, that they are the ones kidnapping and doing the extortion. So the Amber fighters like in between a wall and a hard place. And that is the reason why I decided to join the AMF. My goal was to create a safety net where the boys could collectively bargain and ask the diaspora to fund them directly without going through the political loops and people fighting for titles and positions.
So in other words, the AMF was going to be like the People's Army. Is that what you're saying? Where they're not respecting all these, wannabes leaders, but they are for the people. Is that what you're saying?
That is the bottom line. And I went a step further because I called all the leaders and I told them, this is the goal of the AMF. I'm not forming a new group. My goal is to bring all the boys together so we can, one, support them with the resources they need. Two, we can give them the help, be it mentally and health-wise, because most of the soldiers, they don't die from active fighting. They die from gunshots and inter-group fighting. That is like what kills 60% of our soldiers. Not actually the fighting with the bees, because the bees don't know the terrain.
So Mr. Lihman, you said you talked to the leaders. Who are the leaders that you talked to, and did they stamp or did they approve this AMF thing? Because I believe that the way we see things happening in the revolution, definitely they will not want that, because that's going to kind of like dismantle their network of what they presume to have down there, especially being abroad and, claiming to be a warlord and you live abroad. So, I mean, did any of them approve this?
Okay. Of course, none of them approved it. I'm going to be very specific about this. So I called
who
Ayaba.
Did you talk to? Did you talk to Ayabacho? Did you call Ayabacho?
I had 2 calls with Ayabacho.
And what did he say? In his words, what did he say?
Ayaba said to me, Denis, don't try to reinvent the wheel. You have brave leaders you can work with, like me, Akwanga, or the guy from Tiger. I forgot it. Martin from Tiger.
Yes.
That why not just separate these boys and put them under the 3 of us and let us prosecute the revolution, because we have the resources, we have the political guide to give them, and you basically have nothing.
Okay. So, and what did Akwanga say?
Akwanga is one of the few people who was very open about it. Akwanga didn't have a problem. He told me, as long as you guys are working for the people, just don't create a group of your own.
Okay.
Because the fear was that I was about to create a group of my own, or with people they thought I was working with.
And what did John Egiawan say?
John Egiawan did not only say, he went forward to blackmail AMF, and I don't know if this is the right place to say it. We had a situation where we had produced materials for AMF, like their uniforms that they were supposed to use. Because what happened is they had a set of uniforms. You wear the uniforms. If you are an ADF, it says AMF, ADF. If you are Socadef, it says AMF, Socadef. If you are ASC, it says AMF, ASC. So this is what happened. The IG did not only send me threatening messages, they confiscated all the materials, including granules and all the stuff we bought in Akwaya.
Yes.
So they put a stroke on me. And
who confiscated the materials? Do you know the general that actually did that? that sent soldiers to do it?
It was in Akwaya, the LGA, the local government, whatever they call in LGA in Akwaya.
Yes.
They confiscated everything. And, one of the generals who was working for AMF as our logistic personnel, I won't call his name, I'll simply say Raf.
Yes.
They call him General Raf. They took the stuff from him and they actually got him locked up for a week.
Okay.
They were about to call the authorities and hand him over to the authorities. And this is one thing I want to say.
When you say the authorities, are you talking about La République?
La République, and I want to say this is very keen, okay, and I'm responsible for what I say. There is this trend that the guys who call themselves IG, they do, is that if they have a disagreement with you, what they do is they contact the government and tell them where you are or where your camp is, and they invade you.
That's the IG.
That is what the IG, and that is like the reason that I don't want to be so quick to say it. That is how Ivor was killed. That is how General Ngoy was killed. And that's how most of the soldiers are being killed on the ground. When there is fighting between the groups, especially with the IG, it's like they have an informant there. What he does is he calls La République and tell them where the groups are. And then they go and attack the group. Or if the group is resisting to join their group, the IG group.
Yes.
That is what the IG does. And Chris Anu knows what I'm talking about. John Egiawa knows what I'm talking about. Sako knows what I'm talking about.
Okay, so let's move to our third question. In a previous communication, we talked about General Ivo dying without even having a gun. That was me and you when I was doing my investigations. You shared a lot of stuff with me. Share with our audience what you know about this issue.
I don't know how to start, but I think I owe this to Ivor's family and to his memory as a friend. Now, one thing I want people to know is that I'm not a political operative. Very few people know me because I'm never online. And I want to stay like that. I am just an Ambazonian like any other person who feels for his nation. And I want to go home and just hang out with the boys, drink a beer or two and just live our lives, Now, this is what actually happened. When we formed the AMF, we had a lot of problems going on between groups. So we brought the generals together and they started talking to each other.
Yes.
None of the group leaders loved that because the generals had stopped. If you notice, there was a period that before the AMF, just as the AMF started, there was no kidnapping, no ransom taking. So Ivor had a situation with General Commando of the IG.
Yes.
So what happened is they had confiscated weapons from ADF. And Ivor was asking for the weapons. So they brought it to the AMF and we were litigating it. So I called Commando. He was then in Ground 1. I hope all those, when I talk about Ground 1, they know what I'm talking about.
Yes, yes. Ground 1, I mean, for those who do not know, is Nigeria.
So what happened is IG had sent him to Ground 1 without the authorization of the Nigerian authorities or anything. So they just sneaked the boys across the border, which is a very dangerous thing. And the boys were just there waiting. And they told them they were going to get them weapons with the money they got from my trip to Boya. Okay? But they did not get them anything. They were there waiting.
Who was waiting? You mean Commando?
Yes.
Okay.
And so when Ivor brought the situation, I talked to Commando. Commando said, you know what? We thought Ivor's boys were coming to attack us, so we took their weapons. We're going to give it back to them. And they were making peace. Okay, people like General Jimira and the others were in it, trying to mediate, so for us to resolve it in a friendly way.
I actually tried to mediate too, because I was talking to Ivo, I was talking to Commando, and both of them had agreed, that they were going to, solve the problem. Yes, go ahead.
So this is where the problem came. And I'll be very honest, okay? ADF started this whole charade. I don't have anything against ADF, but they need to own up to their errors.
Okay, and how did they start the charade? Because it's good for the people to know.
So when these weapons were taken from ADF, they brought it to my attention and to the attention of everybody. I talked to the IG about it. I talked to John Igiawang about it. And we were looking for a way, because it was sad that boys have to fight with, amongst themselves to take weapons to go and fight La République. That was just insane to me.
Yes.
So while we were struggling to resolve it, now people should pay attention. This is what caused Ivor's death. While this to and fro was going, Ivor was very, very sick. Okay. And Ivor was like so invested into the AMF because he thought that that was the only way for them to secure themselves and forge a way forward.
Why, I have a question. Why all of a sudden he believed so much in the AMF? Was there something going on within the ADF that he felt AMF was a safe place for him?
Yes. The first thing is that Ivor was being isolated and hated by people for things he did not do. Ivor is one of the only people on Ground Zero who never attacked any other camp. What happened is, Ivor was actually the person who would go and buy materials and distribute to the other groups.
Yes, I have a recording of Ivor, and he actually, there was a time when he supplied to Mountain Lions, and
Yes.
they accused him that he had eaten their monies, and you know, he talked to me and I told him, go send their stuff, regardless of what they were saying. Ivor used to go and deliver all the way to this field marshal guy. I've never seen any of them giving him his respect. Go ahead. I have all those audios. Go ahead.
Good, and I'm happy you brought that up.
I believe what you're saying at this moment. So go ahead.
So what happened is, Ivor actually wasn't part of the charade. Ivor was getting to a level where he saw himself like an Ambazonian. He was about to, like, you know what, ADF, I'm done with you guys. I just want to be myself. I don't want to be part of your politics and your infighting. So
what are some of the things Ivor used to tell you for you to understand? I have a reason why I'm asking this, is because even at the point when, you know, Ivor felt that way, he felt like I shouldn't really be paying allegiance to people but to the Southern Cameroon or Ambazonia, rather than, you know, to Ayabacho and, you know, the ADF. There was this fear. He had this fear. And what are the things? Because he was very, very careful with his words. There are things that he told me that he was going to be okay to say it when he is not in Ground Zero. So I want you to say certain things, because there is so much that you have in your stomach, and I want you to open up. I've investigated this thing now. It's almost a year. Ivor died in December. You don't know the pressure. I have people that have actually come to our page and say that I, Theodore, killed Ivor. You know, oh, because I'm not coming forth to do the investigations and bring it out. You know, that's how some of them were able to think that they will, you know, push me or something, you know, but I didn't really bother, because I know I talked to you. I know you were being patient. And one thing about investigations is patience. So please, I want you to spill it out today. Because if you don't, it will not be good. Now, tell us some of the things that Ivor used to tell you. Tell us some of the things that you know very well, that there was an issue within that. That's why Ivor felt so much comfortable with AMF. It's very important.
So, no disrespect to ADF, you know, ADF has been one of the strongest fighting force on the ground, but they have made a lot of mistakes. And Ivor was getting to a level where he could not see himself fighting against his fellow brothers. So Ivor had talked to me a couple times, and he told me about his health, his living condition, because the relationship I had with Ivor was not that of might be a superior or a boss talking to his subordinate. Ivor is like my age group. So we were mostly talking like friends. Maybe we'll spend like 2 hours on the phone talking about useless stuff, about like maybe the businesses we want to do when the war is over, the where we want to live and stuff like that. And so we had more of, I would say, friendship based on our vision. And now this is one thing I want everybody to remember Ivor for. When we created the AMF, I called Ivor behind and asked Ivor, please, do you want to be the marshal of AMF? He said to me, he used to call me Papa Denis. That's how most of them used to call me, even though we are age groups. He said, when we come together as a group, the first thing we should do is we should set rules that govern all of us. Because if we don't set rules, we start sharing position, people will start using those positions to safeguard their place in this revolution and not the good of the general people, the general will. So he said, I'm not going to be any leader of anything. I don't want to be any leader. And he said, you know what? Any way you guys want, I will support you. He actually sent 500,000 for us to do the launching, because we were trying to get the uniforms for all the Amba fighters. He gave us 500,000, and he said that if we needed more money, we should let him know. Actually, because he was in a situation where he had a lot of endorsement, and people were like just
Free will.
giving him stuff.
Yes.
He had never harassed anybody for anything, and people can testify to it. And ADF did not like that, because it's no secret. Everybody knows what Ayaba is doing. Ayaba is a good person. People should not get me wrong. What ADF is doing is ADF are trying to be the last man standing, in the sense that they think that because they have more weapons than any other group, they can muscle people, and then when the IG and the others will fade away, they will be the last people standing, which is a very bad thing to do, because the goal is for us to fight together.
Yes, so what you're saying is, it means that you're acknowledging that they have more weapons than every other group.
That's a fact. Okay, this is one thing which we should be clear about.
Go ahead.
ADF is the only group on the ground that has a considerable firepower. We cannot take that away from them.
Go ahead.
And I want to commend Ayabacho for that all the money he gets goes on the ground for the resources that the boys need. I will not...
Patch all the money for Patch did not go to the people that it was meant to go to. So, in other words, what they're doing is they try to bring people together so people can raise money, and they get the firepower and keep it for themselves. That is a difference, meaning that it comes to what you're saying, that they want to be the last man standing. So they're using their brains to try to say, oh, we're going to work together. And when people see that and they are happy, they collect the money and then they keep it for themselves. So go ahead.
So I won't characterize it that way. The problem is that Ayaba has political ambitions. Everybody can see that. My point is, it's not a bad thing to have political ambitions, but you should be able to work with other people in a productive way. Not in that archaic African mindset that I want to be the only eye amongst the blind people.
But you see, you know what, Dennis? We've shifted from my question. I want you to explain the circumstances that happened before Ivor's death and those involved. Because I have a lot of questions, and I don't like this show to be more than 1 hour, even though it always takes more than an hour. My team has been preparing for this show for 4 hours. You know that. So,
okay.
The circumstances, what happened, the last minute, the last day, those involved, what happened? The people are so anxious to hear this.
Let me cut everything straight to the chase, okay? So, what happened was, when we started with the AMF and Ivor was part of it, ADF had a bad feeling. So ADF decided to appoint General Big Number, Efang, as a brigadier general. I was alarmed by it. So I called Ivor, like, what is going on? Have they demoted you or what? He was like, Papa Denis, Efang is my child. And if they decide to make him a brigadier general, we should applaud that because he has sacrificed a lot in this
I would prefer
revolution.
you say it in Ivor's words because Ivor would have said, Efa nama pikin.
Yeah, that's what.
I'll prefer
It
whenever
so
you
well,
want to
that's his
talk,
language.
say it the way he will say it. Because I talked to him for a long time. I can exactly pick out the words that he will use. He will not say, no, he will say, Efa nama pikin or nama pikin.
Yeah, that's what he actually. Okay, let me use the language we were speaking. So I was like, Ivor, what's the happen? He was like, wait, Papa Denis, wait. I say, don't make Efang brigadier general. Is everything okay with you? He's like, well, say, he speaks a little bit slow, and so he's like, well, Papa Denis, say, Efang nama pikin. I could do how? If he work fine, he finds to make them reward it like that. Say my health no be fine. That my eye will be tell you, it really humble me. I be the barely see. I don't find some country makes them put on for day, but the eye they really hot. That is exactly what he said to me. So I was like, okay, Ivor, now this is the problem. I told Ivor that I wanted to fly him out to a neighboring country, not Nigeria, because we had.
You told him that you want to fly him out to Cotonou. He told me.
Okay, yeah, that is our goal. I told
But you
him
never knew that he told me what you told him.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I had him that I told him I was going to move him. So he told me he cannot leave until the launching of the AMF, that he was going to leave after the AMF launching. So at the same time, IG had confiscated the materials we had bought in Akwaya. That is why he was still on ground zero, waiting for the launching, and then he got killed. So one step behind, let me just go chronologically what happened. So when Ivor decided to join the AMF and not Ayaba, Benedinkwa, I will be very precise, was putting pressure on him to go and recover the weapons from Commando, he refused. He was in Teke at that time. So Benedinkwa decided to appoint General Big Number, the the Brigadier General of ADF, and asked him to go and recover the weapons. Okay. Now, one thing people have to remember is that when Commando confiscated the weapons, his second in command, General Biebie, was the one who took that project. In so doing, he shot General Efang. And it took him about 2 weeks for them to extract the bullet out of General Efang. So when the ADF now made him Brigadier General and asked him to go and recover that weapon, the weapon, that was a recipe for disaster because there was bound to be revenge. Ivor would not do that. So they abandoned Ivor in Teke. They took all the weapons from Ivor. Ivor was just by himself and a small boy, the two of them in Teke.
No. One of the times I talked to Ivor had a few soldiers with him. He was living somewhere either in a valley or where there was no network. It was a FaceTime. And he was telling them that now this grant, they actually give me some peace where when I feel bad, I'll talk to. Because he will call me at certain odd hours. Say, Grant, Masajo will talk some kind of way you make Majo even laugh small Grant, stress too much. And he showed me that this is all he has right now. That it use now open eye for CCR military based on the condition because ADF, they've taken their weapons. So what you're saying there is true. Go ahead.
So they took the weapons, the small stash he had, and gave to General Efang, right?
Yes.
General Efang now went to Guzang to recover the rest of the weapons.
No, at this time, Efang, they were already in Guzang area.
When I say General Efang went there, is that the General Efang did not come personally to get the weapons.
Yes.
What I'm saying that they moved the weapons to General Efang.
Yes.
The little stash that Ivor had. So General Efang now went to Guzang, since he was there, to the camp where BAB and the others were.
Yes.
This is very important. With them, they had what we call some of these auxiliaries from the neighboring country. who help with the mapping because they don't have GPS and the rest. They have to walk around those bushes without GPS or any form of direction.
Yes.
This was a Bayelsa guy. Okay, he was
Yes.
with Bie. So when Efang went there, whatever happened, the fight, you guys know what happened there. The fight break out, and ADF killed 4 of the IG people.
Namely, do you have their names?
I don't remember their names because it's been a little bit. But amongst the 4 that were killed was the Bayelsa guy and 3 other small, I'll call them officers, which is
Yes.
I should not be saying that, but other patriots that were with them. Now, this is very important for people to remember. They did not kill Bie. They took Bie with them, just the same way RK was taken by IG.
Yes.
So now, this is what made me to break ranks with ADF. When they took Bie with them, they mutilated Bie alive.
They mutilated Bie. Yes. And that was done by Big Number.
Yes,
And
because
his
he was
guys.
paying him back. And that was devastating to me. And because Ivor told me when that happened, because I called Ivor that, what is going on in Guzan? Where are you? You told me that you were in Teke. He said, I am not part of it. He said, these are his words. Papa Denis, I could die for Tingwa, no.
True. Because I reached out to him. He actually received the news just like any other person. And he said he did not authorize. Actually, they did it without him knowing because they knew that he was not going to approve it. Ivo actually told me that that was done by Benedictwa.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
What happened? So when they took him, they mutilated him alive. And then they dispersed his body. So when Ivor told me, I contacted ATF and asked them for proof of life for Biabia. Because
Who
I
did
knew
you
that
contact?
he was alive. We had a small group. I was part of ATF.
Yes.
So I had a lot of groups that I could contact them one-on-one. But I went to this group. I told them that, you know what? I like to write. I always document stuff.
Yes.
People who know me, I always document what is on my mind. So I told ADF to put out a press release stating that Ivor was not part of the attack and that this attack was an unfortunate situation. Just do a PR campaign because I saw the threatening messages that they were putting in AMF about Ivor.
Yes.
When that happened, even Nambere was on it. Everybody in AMF was putting threatening messages out on Ivor. So I talked to ADF to put out a statement out because I know something bad was going to happen. ADF told me that, who am I to tell them what to do?
Who did you contact precisely?
I talked to Grace, Ayaba's, what do you call it? National Security Advisor or whatever.
Grace Ajeli.
Yes. I talked to Frank, because Frank is a friend of mine, Frank Abangi.
Frank Abange.
Mm-hmm. I talked to Jenny, all of them. We were in that group, Selina Mabo, all of those people.
So who
Benedictwa
actually told you that you cannot tell them what to do?
Venat, one of the
Venat.
most toxic people in ADF.
Huh?
That is the reason ADF is suffering, is because of those people I just named. You have Venat,
Yes.
you have Grace, you have Benedictwa. These are the people who have all those surrogate names. They go on Facebook and attack people, insult people.
Yeah, the fake profiles.
Those are the people. So when that happened, I brought it to their attention. They told me they basically dismissed me, that I was very sentimental. That's the word they use as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
And so I talked to Ivor. I called one person, Mom CV. I remember. The person who is in charge of General RK now.
Yes, Vivian Banwi.
I told Mom CV that Ivor is sick. I will need to evacuate him. he was like, okay, I told him that can she convince Ivor to leave, because Ivor wouldn't leave until the launching, and I knew shit was gonna go down because I saw the messages that were on AMF, because I was part of the AMF. I could see what the generals were writing on the ground in real time. I knew his life was in danger, so I asked him to run. He refused. That is when shit went down. Because somebody now in the IG, I don't know if they actually killed him or they brought the beast to kill him. They knew where Ivor was, because we had a forum. That's where I indicted AMF, because in that forum we knew where I personally and all the fighters knew where everybody was.
Yes.
They told where Ivor was, and Ivor was killed. That is what I knew.
So you think that it is from that AMF forum that somebody, what you're saying is that somebody in the IG,
yes,
gave the information?
Yes.
Now, for the military
to come and kill Ivor where he was.
To come and kill Ivor. Now,
yes.
I have a question for you. Who is Henry? Because in one of our conversations, there is a military name you gave me by name Henry, and you said he's a Bakure guy. Do you remember that conversation?
For security reasons, I want us to leave it there because he's still active duty.
He's still active duty, but he is from La République. And
yes.
We're talking about a very sensitive issue here. The guy Ivor, what people portray, people don't really know much about Ivor. For the time that I talked to Ivor, there's certain things that he regrets doing. Ivor, that the world should know, Ivor regrets the fact that he was being named a general.
Yes, that's true.
He felt like he was used. At the point, he did not understand the circumstances or what will come after that. That's one thing that he regrets. Secondly, Ivor regrets the issue, what happened in when Ayabacho went down there, or Daddy. Because that alone, the lost guys that, you know, he cries every day about those guys that they lost. Those two things are things that Ivor cried all the time. And this is why it actually played a lot on him, is that, like what Benedictwa did by making him big number a brigadier general was something psychological. They knew that it was going to actually worry Ivor. Ivor, he might not have told you, but Ivor was in that position that he felt like he has done so much, which is true, because I have names, I have soldiers, some of them, like the guy Killer, that died in Muyuka, have recordings that he said his first AK was given to him by General Ivor.
Yeah.
Granotes. He used to move from camp to divide granotes. This is something that people don't even understand. Okay?
I don't want to cut you there, and I want to explain it to people, for people to understand what Ivor was doing.
Hold on. What Ivor was actually playing the role of what a revolutionary soldier should be doing. That, okay,
perfect.
I'm fighting for a nation. My face is already in front. He was not really more to the general thing. He was more to bringing people together for a common goal. Meanwhile, he was being used by the ADF for political achievements. Now, and the reason why I'm saying this to you is that you can't hide anybody here that this guy works in La République. We're talking about somebody that if he was alive, maybe he would have been able to push this a little bit further. But ever since this guy died, things are going backward. So I know you're not expecting this, but see, what I do it for the people and for the sake of the two children that Ivor left that he told me about. I don't know if there is any other one. Who is this Henry? Because this Henry knows about the people that went there, that did this thing, that killed Ivor. Who is this Henry?
Okay, now that we're about it, I don't think I have anything to hide for that reason. Henry will be fine. So what this is this. I had my own view. What Henry told me was Ivor was not killed by the bees. That Ivor was killed by one of us and called the bees to come and pick his body. Now, the reason I did not put that story out there is because his story actually made more sense than mine. Because he said, if I look at the video where Ivor was killed, the bees did not take pictures of him. We are the ones who took pictures of him. And he said that, let me go back and look at the pictures that were shared on social media. I would discover that the picture came from us, not from the bees. And that we only had pictures of Ivor and the bees when they came and picked his body and took it to the command station. That is when they decided, that is when they were shooting the videos with him on the back of the pickup. He said to me that if the bees actually killed him as we are claiming, how comes it that they did not do what they always do? Because when they kill an amber fighter, they usually naked him to see his odeshi, and they will take pictures of him. That why did the bees not do that? He said because the bees did not kill Ivor. Everybody was scared of Ivor. He said,
so did he tell you where they took Ivor to? Because till this day, nobody knows where they took Ivor's body to.
I told Akwanga where I was on the call with Akwanga when I was talking to Henry.
So Akwanga knows?
Yes.
What's the other name of Henry?
I cannot divulge it.
This is not classified information. Henry is an enemy to the Southern Cameroon's people. I should say that, except you mean that he has been helping.
No, the whole idea is Henry is the one who told me where Ivor's body was.
Okay.
And he told me a lot of things. He said to me that Ivor...
All right, that's fine. If it's somebody that has helped, then that's okay. You don't need to give his last name. Now, my question is, why were you trying to keep this part of the information? Because I told you, I said, I am digging. Even after this, I'm not going to end here. There's still more information. So if he told you that Ivor was killed by one of us, did he tell you who? Are those people involved?
He said the person actually called them on the phone, and when they killed Ivor, he confirmed that was Ivor because they themselves did not know how Ivor looks. They saw him there, but they could not tell the difference between him and the other fighters precisely. So he's the one who confirmed that is the person you guys actually killed.
So it means that he has the phone number of the person that killed Ivor.
Okay, now this is one thing I want people to understand. I did not call Henry. Henry used Ivor's phone when Ivor was killed to call me with it because I was the last person that talked to Ivor.
No, hold on.
One of the last people.
Hold on. You're helping me here now with my investigation. Henry used Ivor's phone to call you. Was it a direct call or a WhatsApp call?
No, a direct call.
Okay, good.
This is what people should understand. Ivor had a public number that he used, and we had a direct line. Like with most of the boys on the ground.
He had like 3 numbers. He had a WhatsApp number that was being controlled here in the US.
Not that one.
Not that one, which was, I think that was an Israelite phone area code or something.
Yeah.
So that is not the number?
No.
Okay, and this number was one of Ivor's phone that Henry used to call you?
That is actually the line he used to communicate with Benedinkwa and the command center, and I think just about 3 of us had that number.
Okay. After this, we'll share the number because... So did Henry ever use his own phone to call you?
What happened is Henry was where the body was kept.
Okay.
So what happened is when they took Ivor's body, they dressed him. I did not know. He's the one who told me that Ivor used to be a bee. Because Ivor never brought that up when we were talking. Ivor just used to play around it and be like...
No, Ivor told me.
He never used to make a big deal out of it. He just played around with it. So he said to me, hey, Ivor was actually a very good bee, and so when Ivor was killed, his body was taken. Unlike most amber fighters, when they killed them, they display their body. Ivor actually had an honorable death. So an honorable burial, just so his family should know. His body was taken, and his body is actually kept in one of the military camps. They decorated him back with his B uniform because they had never agreed that he was part of Amber. Up to today, they still want to say that they don't want to give him the legacy of being an Ambazonian
Okay, so they
general.
don't want to give Ivo that legacy of being an Amber, so they decorated him with his B uniform. Well, that's
Yes.
one thing that the people should know, that amongst all the guys that are fighting, Ivo Mba had experience. He was a B guy that believed in the cause and decided that he was going to fight to liberate his people. So people should know this. So he had the experience to operate the weapons that he was operating. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So that is what happened to his body. And just so the family knows, I wish I had pushed to send him to Cotonou as I had promised. But the truth is, Ivor would not let me do that. He wanted to do the launching, and there was nothing I could do. And IG
Well,
had completed
this is the thing that
uniforms.
we want the audience to know, and that after this, I want to know the last name of Henry, because even at this point, there's still no closure. Even at this point, there's still no closure. There are some little things, some dots that still needs to be connected.
For me, this is my personal take on this. Okay, I think we should be looking amongst ourselves and ask ourselves if it is a good thing that each time we have a difference in opinion or in policy, what we do is we go and we report the other group. The thing is, the IG keeps doing this, and I don't have anything against the IG. It's true, I've never recognized them as a government.
Okay,
But
so,
they have this pattern.
see, I don't want to cut you short, okay? Now, I want this to really be centered about Ivor's death, which is what we're talking about here. You said the IG made that call.
Yes, they did.
How are you so sure? Did they give
I
you...
am sure. Like, okay, this is the issue. Initially, from the information I got in the AMF and the boys who were around Teke when Ivor was killed, was that one of the boys in the neighboring IG camp went and showed where Ivor was because they were so angry at what Ivor did. The fact that IG did it is not even disputed. We all know that. Okay, I had 3 people on the list that I was suspicious of. I was suspicious of the Secretary General of ADF,
Name?
Larry.
Larry Ayamba?
I don't know how Ayamba or Ayamba or what. He always
There
tells
are
me
two
not to call him.
secretaries. There's one in South Africa and there's another one, the one that is, I don't know if it's Fair or it's Makiash or whatever.
Well, I wouldn't go that far back.
Which of them
Now,
is, which of the Larrys, the Ayambas, is it the one in Europe or the one in South Africa?
I think it's the one. I'm trying to be very clear because it should be the one in Europe.
Okay.
He called me when he was on his way to, because I'm having a conflicting ideas because one of them called me when they were on their way to South Africa and they had to stop on ground 1 and talk to Ivor. So
Okay.
like one day before Ivor was killed, he was on ground 1.
Okay.
Now, initially I was suspicious that he is the one who killed Ivor because Ivor had fallen out with ADF. Then the other information came into me that actually the person who went and showed the camp where ADF was and where Ivor was and Ivor was killed was one of the ASC camps that was nearby.
Okay.
So then I had conflicting views there. It is when Henry called me and told me that actually the call came from the IG, not from the ADF guy that I was suspecting.
So why didn't he tell you the person in the IG that called him?
He said that you know what, even though he's a B, this is what he said. I'm not gonna, his English is really bad, just like all of us. But he speaks like English French. So he said to me that we need to stop that we are the ones fighting against our own interests, that we cannot be fighting a war at the same time fighting against each other.
Okay.
He said, how could we do what happened that we did what we like. What happened to Ivor was really, I mean, I don't have words to say it. It was evil and vile.
Okay, but
How could
he
we
didn't
kill
give you
our
the
own
name
people?
and the phone number.
No. He said he asked me to call him back.
Yes.
And I said, I don't want to deal with this. And I asked him to talk to Akwanga because I tried to bring Ayaba on the line. Ayaba had changed his number without telling me, and I had to call him. I had to go through Grace to talk to him, something I don't like.
Yes.
Because I mean, I and Ayaba, we were like brothers and stuff. I don't see why I should
So,
call on
did
third
you
party.
put Akwanga on that call? Can
I put Akwanga on the call.
So Akwanga actually listened to this guy Henry speaking.
And now this is one thing I want people to know about this revolution. Akwanga he knows more than he tells people he knows. He chooses to tell people what he wants to tell, and he chooses to cover people. A lot of things that went down in AMF, I told Akwanga. The reason is because Akwanga is like a big brother to me, and he has been in this revolution for over 26 years. And I don't think he's going to flip for some short-term political gains. And I told him, so when Henry called me, I put Akwanga on the line because I kind of have like direct lines to most of these people.
Yes, so Akwanga actually was on the line. That was, let's say, on another phone, while you had Henry on another phone, and he
No,
actually...
we had a conference call.
So it was a conference call.
Yeah.
But that's what you should have said. So you mean Akwanga actually listening to this Henry guy saying that it's the IG. And you're saying that this guy speaks a little bit of French. His English is not correct. So let's just assume he's a Francophone that speaks a little bit of English. This guy knows the whole thing to the extent that he can be able to tell that this person that called is IG person.
He knows it perfectly because he identified Akwanga. He said, Akwanga, you are the skinny person, right? That shouts a lot.
That's what he said.
Yes.
And what was Akwanga's response? Because you know
Akwanga,
what we are saying now, Akwanga is going to, most likely is listening to it or is going to listen to it. And if it's a lie, he's going to come up and say you lied.
Akwanga cannot, if he wants, I can put out the call records. This is the point. Okay. I don't have anything to hide.
So you have a call record?
I have all the call records with Akwanga and Ayaba. This is the stuff.
No. I mean the call record of you, Henry, and Akwanga on a conference call.
Of course, I do. And I don't think Akwanga can dispute that.
Thank you. We'll continue this after. Now, because of time constraint, you already answered what would have been my fifth question, which I would have said the ADF claimed that Ivor Mba was killed on the battlefield.
No, that's a lie.
And
that's a big lie.
Can you debunk this lie and also tell us what you know about this incident? So you have already just said that is a lie. And what would be a reason why the ADF will be lying that he was killed in the battlefield?
Now, this is the issue. When the ADF said that, I asked them to correct the statement for the sake of Ivor's family.
Yes.
That Ambassador should know that the bravest warrior we ever had was assassinated. He wasn't killed in the battlefield.
Yes.
That would be something different. Now, these are the facts. If he was killed in the battlefield, right?
Yes.
Who was killed alongside with him? Let the ADF prove it.
Okay.
Why is it that when he was shot, his body wasn't recovered? The bee came and took his body. And his body wasn't taken immediately he was killed. It was taken later on, after somebody took pictures of his dead body. Not a bee, because it was one of us that sent the picture of him lying on the ground in front of that old house. The one thing people should understand is that when the bee comes, they usually burn houses. If they had like people in a small house like that one, they usually burn it. The house that I was hiding in wasn't even burnt. Okay, he was sleeping out there, and Ivor did not come out in a fighting posture because he came out unarmed.
Yes.
So the person that came to talk to him knew him and was a familiar person. Because what happened is, I don't want to put out how the security works, is that you cannot come straight to any camp without being part of the camp. Because they have small...
That's classified. They have checkpoints.
Exactly. So the person that killed Ivor was a familiar person. The person walked up straight to Ivor and killed Ivor because Ivor didn't know that the person could do that. And
well, go ahead.
falls well. And now this is the stuff which I want the Amazonians to know. Ivor died, one, because the person who came to kill him was somebody that he knew. Two, when Ivor died, he had no weapons because the weapons were in Guzan and they were using it to fight against other Amazonians. And Ivor died because of the infighting too, because as a result of the infighting, he motivated, I don't know if the person did that knowing what he was doing, to go tell, because they killed Ivor to get back at Cho Ayaba. Because Ayaba was now bragging a lot about Ivor and the public campaign and belittling other people that you don't have a general like us. So sheepishly, they killed Ivor thinking they were going to hurt Ayaba, not knowing that they were hurting the Amazonian cause as a whole.
Yes.
So that is actually what went down. If I answer your question.
Okay. So now, well, just so the audience should know, at the same time, why Ivor told me that you had proposed to help him was because he was really sick. He was feeling bad,
Yeah.
the eye issue. And myself, I told him that I will help him whenever he's ready, that all he needs to do is to call me when he's in ground one, and I will do everything possible to make sure that he gets treatment abroad. But
Yeah.
I've also loved the fight that I would say that his spirit was there, but the body wanted to go get treatment. Let me just put it like that. Unfortunately, he passed before he moved. Actually, he had given me December 25th as the day he was going to, that after 25th, then I should know that, okay, he's not serious. And obviously, he died before December 25th, which actually shocked me. And it has been burning in me to find out the truth. That is why I will go at any length to ask you questions that you least expect, because I want to get to the bottom of this. Another thing is that many people did not really know about Ivor's health, and the ADF did not really care either, because if they did, then they would have done something. Mm-hmm. Now, my personal investigations of the ADF are pointing to the fact that Ayabacho Lucas may not be as evil as some think he is. All my evidence is pointing towards Benedict Kwa as the evil mastermind behind the killings and atrocities on the ground. He has refused to cooperate with my investigation. What do you have to say about this modern day Lucifer?
I mean, I've never made it a secret that I don't go well with Benedict Kwa. Ayaba is Ayaba is just like Ivo. I will tell people the truth. I don't have any reason to support Ayaba or any other leader. But I'll be very honest with you people. Ayaba is like a baby for people who know him. He will go at length to help anybody. And that is why, if you see anytime I put out my thoughts, I always tell people that Ayaba is surrounded by very bad people. And he has allowed that, and he has tarnished his image. Ayaba is not a bad person at all. He's a very nice person. But the problem is that he had people like Benedict Kwa, and people should understand this. Benedict Kwa is a guy with a very low self-esteem. He tries to prove himself. So he goes at length to do things to show people that, I'm the man. Because he doesn't want to be under the shadow of Ayaba all the time. And not like I'm trying to snitch on Benedict Kwa. Benedict Kwa is also somebody I talk to. And I don't have any reason to...
It's not about snitching. For the sake of the people, it got to be spilled out. People are dying. They're claiming they're fighting, but people are dying. They're losing guys that should be fighting because of all this infighting and building some kind, I don't know, politics. There's no politics when a revolution is concerned. It's supposed to be war.
Okay, now this is the stuff. Benedict Kwa this guy has self-esteem issues. So he goes at length to prove something that you don't need to prove. You don't need to kill under amber fighters to prove that you're tough. I mean, it's not worth it. And also, it's up to ADF. If ADF really wants to become the contender force they have been fighting to become, they can choose to take out the bad people in their group and get public support. But if they choose to go the way they are going, I have no say over what they do. All I can tell people is ADF is by far the strongest group on the ground. I'm not saying this to prop them or anything. They are the people with the guns. But I think the way they are carrying things brings them more animosity because of the way Benediqua and the people around him in ADF are managing. They are managing ADF, and that's one of the reasons why I stopped working with ADF and AGC altogether because of that toxic environment. But my advice to the Amazonian people is, we don't have fighters. The boys on the ground have sacrificed their lives. They have sacrificed everything that is dear to them. Unlike me and you, we have a host country. We live in good houses. We have good cars. We drive around. We are safe here. But those boys, they have a very different reality. And we can either choose to come together and give them the help they need, or we can keep fighting amongst ourselves.
Now,
what else can I say?
Let me move to my next question. A word or two about Pastor John Egiawan and his activities on the ground. So basically, you have two people that seems to be evil. You have Benediqua, you have John Egiawan, and those two people, from my understanding and little investigations done, are the reasons why these boys are fighting and killing themselves.
I mean, it's no secret. I don't know how they call themselves pastors. John Egiawan and Sako. I'll be very honest about it. Okay, I don't have a personal problem with Egiawan or Sako. He calls me, I call him. But I don't support thieves. John Egiawan is a thief.
Period.
Same with Sako. I'm not going to hide it. This is one of the reasons that they fought ferociously. Everybody's going to criticize me and say stuff about me. Okay, wait and see. They're going to say, oh, Denis stole money, he did that. And so, you know me, I don't lack means. I can do whatever I want to do.
But I can't vouch for you, Denis. I know you as
this is the
Denis.
stuff.
Okay,
One of the stuff I tell people is that if they want it, we can put our tax return online. It's no secret. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and point fingers at people. But John Egiawan and Sako are thieves. Out of the 700,000 they collected in my trip to Boya, these are my words. And if they dispute it, they can file a lawsuit and I'll bring my paperwork. They gave less than $16,000 to Ground Zero. And the $16,000 was for Odeshi, not even for weapons.
Pastors that give money for Odeshi, is that what you're saying? And they go to the pulpit.
I swear to you that is what they did.
Yes,
so
I believe
this is what happened. So when they have done this twice, and if we have time, we should talk about the Nambere issue, which I want the world to know. Nambere did not do anything bad. Nambere was frustrated because the IG promised him weapons and never gave him anything. They make him to stay in Ground One. Believe me, I have all the audios. If they dispute it, I'm going to put everything out. John Egiawan took money, went to Ground One, did not give those boys a penny. What they did was ask them to go and get Odeshi. Okay?
Yes.
And when I asked him, he said that they don't want to give weapons to those boys because after independence, it's going to be hard to recharge the weapons. That was his words to me.
Yes.
And I told them that, but hold on, how will we get independence if we don't even fight for independence? And guess what? It is what it is. His supporters and the IG supporters can be blind and argue all they want. Let them show proof that the IG bought even 5 weapons with the money they collected. These guys, they collected over 700,000 US dollars. We are talking about 350 million francs, French colonial francs. How did I know this? When I started working with AMF, I was trying to do an inventory of our firepower. The ASC guys told me that they basically are unarmed, they have den guns and everything. So I asked them, where is the money that was contributed for my trip to Boya? I went as far as I organized a conference call with me, John Egiawang, Tabenyang, the finance secretary of IG, Katrine of ARC, John Ba Akoro, and Momsi Vivian. On that call, we had Sok Foncha because they had accused that the money they gave for ASC, Sok Foncha has embezzled the money. When they brought up that topic, I brought Sok Foncha on the line. Sok Foncha said he got $8,000 from the IG, from the 700,000. Now, we can go about everything we want to say, but this is the bottom line. Of the money, for all the money for my trip to Boya, the boys got nothing in terms of weapons.
Okay. Now I have to say something. When I first met you, that was in the conference, Maurice conference. So basically, you've been with Maurice, you've been with ADF. I don't know if you've been with IG, and I don't know if you're still with AMF. Is AMF still in existence? Or where are you at the moment? You are a revolutionary prostitute, if I should say. Means you move from one group to another. Why is that?
Okay, now this is the stuff about me people should understand. In my life, I live the same way. I don't have steady friends. I have interests. I supported projects. I don't support any group.
Okay.
I am for Ambazonia. Now, I was with Maurice because Bo Herbert had promised a unifying body. So I joined Maurice to help to build the unity. But I discovered that Bo Herbert was trying to become the spokesperson and promote his group, the secretariat he had promised, into a group. So I left. I don't deal with group politics. I worked with ADF and SOCADEF because they were the first groups to have ground troops on the ground. And when they break up because Ayaba was having a problem with Akwanga, they asked me to choose between ADF or SOCADEF. I told them I'm not going to be part of that dirty politics. I am here for the Ambazonian cause. I will remain an ADF and SOCADEF. I don't care about the labeling. I am for the boys on the ground. And now, what happened is, in AMF, I had the opportunity to redeem myself and build the unity I've always been after. Because believe me, nobody, no group will bring us independence. I don't care what people say, unless people are ignorant to believe that Ayaba's group cannot give us independence, Sako's group or whatever group, Ayok's group will not give us independence. We can only get independence if we work together. So I am not a group prostitute, as people think. Is that when I see something good in any group, I support it. I identify projects and I support those projects.
Let me tell you what happens. When you move from one group, you carry the secrets of that group to the next group. And that is not good. Because it's people like you that actually causes the rift of all the fighting that is going on. I should be very honest with you. I also want you to agree that the genesis of the division of this revolution was caused by Bo Herbert. If they ask me today, who is the cause of this revolution not going the way it's supposed to go, I would personally say Bo Herbert, Chia Innocent, that gang that were trying to portray or to be the people that will be in control. Do you agree with me? You were in that hall that day when I said they should consider whatever Bo Herbert came up as a constitution to make him the leader of Maurice null and void. And what happened 2 weeks after? I want you to be honest. What happened 2 weeks after? They went to sabotage my person because I stood there to say the truth for the people. Do you agree with me on this? You were there.
I'll say this on the record. Theodore, I'm the first person who put a write-up out condemning Bo Herbert. Okay? And people can say what they say. Bo Herbert made his mistakes in the past. I will not pretend that...
He's still making those same mistakes.
Well, Now, this is the problem. Nobody went to school to become a revolutionary. I believe that we learn as we go. And now this is the problem, Theodore, which I think you are part of the problem too. Don't point fingers at me. What am I doing wrong in the sense that I identify projects that is beneficial to the Amazonian people and I push for it? I don't support any group. Why? I don't want to be part of any group. I want to be an Amazonian. My nationality is Amazonian. I don't care about ADF. I don't care about Sokadef. I don't care about any group. I want Ambazonia. So that is why, okay, now listen, I took risks that nobody here will take. I am the person who registered Skakuf. The world should know this in record. I'm the one who hired the lawyer, prepared the paperwork, and registered Skakuf. Because I thought I was building a unifying platform. Now, I don't go about talking about stuff. You've never seen me online.
So if you registered Skakuf, when I was doing my investigation about Skakuf and the money, you decided not to talk. You promised you were going to give me some information and you decided to go mute. The only reason why we are here today is because I actually said, I'm not going to wait for 1 year to come by. That is going to be 1 year anniversary for Ivo. And I said, I will be exposing some of our conversations. And then you decided, okay, you know what? You are ready to talk now, which I'm happy that you are ready to talk because you would have helped and would have been able to pinpoint certain things. There are certain things that you've said here now that I think that I'm only going to call you later to continue this investigation because this is not the end. I was expecting you to say more than what you're saying. I'm just being very honest. And you see, I'm happy with what happened actually in the beginning of this revolution. That's why I keep saying that. Bo Herbert, Chia Innocent are the cause of this revolution drifting because of politics, positioning. You know, when you decide to use lies and propaganda to make yourself popular and you try to, brainwash the people towards others, it turns around. I'm one person now. Today, I even see somebody saying, oh, LRP, journalists, and I don't give a shit about that. What I stand for is the truth and facts. And it really don't matter who that person is when I'm investigating. My message to Benedict Kwa is, if he cares, he hides. But I have a lot of stuff, and I'm still behind him. If he cares, he hides. I have a lot of stuff, and I'm still behind him. I'll expose him and the evil of what he's doing to the boys down there. Let's continue because it's more than an hour. What is your opinion about lockdowns and the issue of no schools as suggested and imposed by the restorationists?
I mean, it's stupid.
I want you to be very brief because
okay, let me be very
we're 20 minutes above time.
The lockdown is stupid. I am one of these people who at the beginning I encouraged the boys to do the lockdown. And it served its purpose then. Now it's not needed. We have made the point. The world knows that we control ground zero. Now the idea about school resumption, I have made it public. When we started the school issue, the idea was that we cannot allow our children to go to go to those schools that are of no help to us. They teach us in French and Pidgin and whatever. Now we are at the level where it's been 3 years and schools haven't resumed. We have children who are illiterate, who grow up damaged because they did not go to school. My idea was, I had talked to Ayaba's group that we should allow the children to go back into mission schools because mission schools don't actually recruit French teachers. And if it comes to the worst, we can contribute in the diaspora and subsidize the mission schools to receive all the children. And now they brought me the idea that they cannot, what did they say? That they cannot guarantee the safety of our children. I said to them, even in Syria, where there is an active war going, they still have children going to school. We cannot stop children from going to school because our political means have not been answered. Our political needs have not been answered. So we should say, how do keeping our children from school contribute in giving us the state of Ambazonia? It is counterproductive because we will need all the brilliant minds to build Ambazonia with it. So in one word, it is stupid that we are keeping our children out of school. the least we can do is teach them how to read and write so they can build the next future of Ambazonian fighters.
Okay. At this point, who do you think is winning the war? You think La République or the Restoration Forces?
Nobody is winning a war. Nobody ever won a war. It's just who is losing the most.
And who do you think is losing the most?
We are losing because, one, there is what they call double jeopardy. We are losing in terms of economics. Our parents cannot go to the farm. Our wives and our children cannot go to the hospital and get the treatment they need. Our soldiers are dying in record numbers because we are ill-equipped and we don't want to come together and fund them and buy the weapons we need. We have the international community turning their backs against us because we are stopping our children from going to school. And now La République is benefiting in the sense that if an illiterate Ambazonia goes to their advantage, if you have a bunch of illiterate children, who is the loser? We are the losers. So I want to be very clear. The people who live in the diaspora can say, you know what, screw it, because they have their children going to school in Ivy League schools. They are living comfortably in their nice houses and their ACs, driving flashy cars, doing baby showers in Maryland, getting married and living large. But the people on the ground, they have a different reality. They are the ones receiving, they are the victims. So there is no winner in a war. My point is, how can we mitigate the pain of our people? That is what I'm for. That's why you people call me a prostitute, because I try to support projects. I don't support individuals. But if everybody was like me, there will not be any infighting.
Okay.
Because people fight because they separate themselves into groups and they start fighting each other to see who's going to be the best.
Okay. Now, at this juncture, we'll take questions from our audience, if any. And the very first question I have for you is from Mr. Alex Bianda. He had sent this earlier. He said, they did something in Boston, Massachusetts, and they gave you $4,120 from the Boston conference in December 2018 on behalf of the AMF. Why did you not open up about this money? Also, why is it that when the AMF was burned, the soldiers who became affiliated to them started to die in record numbers, with almost 150 of them arrested and jailed? I just had to put his question and that of another person so you can answer it as one.
Okay. First,
do you agree they gave you this money?
Yeah, it's no secret. They gave me the money. It was 4,150.
Yes.
And when they gave me the money, they asked me to disburse the money, to send the money to Ground Zero.
Yes.
And I told them that I'm going to use the channels, because what happened, I'm going to be very clear. The soldiers were arrested because when I created the AMF, the mistake I made is that I let people come in and then they could get the number of the soldiers and send them money directly. Now, they had good intentions, don't get me wrong, but the effect was that La République discovered that when you send money through MoneyGram, if any able Ambazonian fighter goes to pick up 700,000, 1 million, they just pick up the person. The clerks at the MoneyGram just call the authorities. That is what I discovered. That is why most of the soldiers were disappearing. Now, so when they gave me the 4,100, I told them that I was going to use, because AMF had a channel which was secured, that money could leave any part of the world and get to Ground Zero. So I told them that I'm going to send the money through the channel. They were a little bit agitated and they said that they don't believe what I'm saying. I asked them to call the generals and talk to them directly. They called Nambere on the phone, and Nambere told them that we received the money. Okay? They called Jimira. So all the money that was given to me, if they wanted, now this is very important from Alex Bianda. I don't like
what I'll advise you to do is send proof to Alex Bianda so that...
No, he refused. I want us to clarify that fact. I call Henriette, right?
Yes.
I call Henriette that, this information is a secret channel. It contains information that cannot go to the public. Yes. If you want it, make a date and let me come to Boston and give you the information. Henriette said to me, no, take pictures of it and send it to my friend, my agent, Kevin, in Nigeria. I said to Henriette, I don't trust people like that. I know you. If you say something to La République, I will know how to get to you. Kevin, I don't know, I've never met. And I don't trust sending information online to somebody I don't know. If you want the receipts, let me come and meet you in Boston and show you what I did with them, how the guys in grounds who got the money, who got what, and how the money was dispersed. She said, no, let me take a picture and send it to her. And I told her that, you know what, if you want me to send information that will incriminate me and other people, I'm not going to do that. So that is what happened with the 4,000. And I still have, this is the stuff, I still have all the receipts, who got what. And fortunately for me, the people who got the money, as you guys are saying, are not dead or missing. They are alive, and I talk to them every day. I have just chosen to not disclose where the fighters are. I know where all of them are.
Dennis, I would say you should do is try to, get clarify the people in Boston because they gave you this money. My next question is from K. Johnny. He's saying that, who mandated you to create the AMF? His question came in two parts, but I already asked you about the soldiers that are being arrested and jailed.
I'll ask K. Johnny a simple question: who mandated them to create AMF, to create ADF? Now, this is what Ambazonians should know. Nobody has a mandate to talk on behalf of Ambazonians yet. We haven't had an election. And if people think that they can bully others, and this is what I will be coming out forcefully, if anybody think that he can negotiate on behalf of Ambazonia without being elected and have a clear mandate to represent the people, all of us, we have no mandate. So if he's asking my mandate to create AMF, who gave him the mandate to create ADF?
Okay. Let me go to another question. This is from James Harrison. He says, ask that guy, how is he sure it's not ADF agents that called him in the name of Henry in order to clean the ADF out of Ivor's death? How can you believe a person you have never seen or known? And how are you sure he gave you his true names?
Okay, this is the first thing. Henry did not clear the ADF. Henry said, people should not misquote me. He said the infighting is not good. He said an IG person called. He said your government. I'm the one using the word IG. He said that your so-called government. And then the next thing I want to make people to know is this: I did not believe Henry because he called me. I believe Henry because he used the sacred line that Ivor used to use to communicate with me and with his leadership.
Okay.
He did not use his number to call me. He used Ivor's number because he tried to call me with his number. I will not pick up. I don't pick up strange calls. So he used Ivor's number that they took from Ivor when the Ivor was killed to call me with it.
Okay. He used Ivor's number, but you said you told me that you know Henry's first and last name, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And after that conversation, have you talked to Henry again other times after that conversation?
I've talked to him probably 2 or 3 times, and I stopped talking to him as I stopped talking to everybody because I went through, for people who don't know, I was silent for almost a year, not because I had something to hide, it's because I was depressed. People don't know the burden it is for me to lose hundreds of boys I talk to every day. The next minute they show up dead. And it took a toll on me, so I just kept quiet. I just went quiet because I could not even deal with the infighting. Everybody's trying to point a finger at the other person. Nobody wants to accept responsibility. What do they want me to do?
Okay. So now, why, a question, I think still from Johnny, I didn't ask, he asked twice, why did they dismiss you from the AMF that you started or created? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello, Dennis? Hello? Hello? Well, I think we can't get Dennis. Unfortunately, we're on 1 hour, 30 minutes plus. Hello? Denis, are you there? Okay, if Denis is not yet there, I will be rounding up this episode. Hello, Denis. Well, I would have loved for Denis to give a final word. You can still send your questions. And I will ask Denis, I think this investigation will still continue because there are certain things that I'm getting now from Denis, which I've tried to get, for almost a year now. Thank you, Denis. Thank you, Denis Lihman, for honoring this platform with your appearance and opening up to the people on some very sensitive topics. We'll dedicate another episode to Ivan Barr's death. Our extreme gratitude to our viewers for their endless support and feedback. Special thanks to all those who submitted their questions but choose to remain anonymous. On behalf of the Cry Out TV team, I am Theodore Ngumba signing off, saying our doors remain open and see you all next time. Thank you.